Thank you so much for being with us today. Can you please tell us your name, a little bit about your background, and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Rebekah Kiger, and my background is in finance. So I am a spiritual money mentor, also a financial advisor for the last 15 years. So I take a lot of the knowledge and the understanding that I've had managing people's money for a very long period of time. And now I use it to really help soul-centered entrepreneurs to dive deeper into their purpose, to make money in alignment and really understand the energy around money versus, all the tangibles. We include that stuff as well, but there's so much more to money, as you know. So that's a
Yeah.
little bit about what I do and a little bit about my background.
I love that. And I think that it's so important to bridge that world between the masculine structure to more of the energetics and bringing some of the feminine essence into that business. So I love that. So, what were you struggling with, and what made you first want to join the Royal Shaman community?
Yeah. So for me, I really felt like I had done a lot of the mindset work and the personal development work, and I was still feeling like there was something more, like something was missing. And it really was, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to most people because, when you achieve a certain level of financial success, like I have, the business of my dreams, I have the man of my dreams, I have an amazing relationship with my daughter, the dogs, the white picket fence, like all of that stuff, right? And so on the surface, you would definitely question like what could possibly be missing from your life. But for me, as soon as I started really hearing Makosi's message, I just felt very drawn on like a soul level to her work. And really, when I had my first call to really talk about the different containers, there was really this genuine desire from it's hard to even explain. Like it was like my higher self led me here and there was something deeper for me. I knew that. I knew there was another level. I knew there was another layer to fulfillment. And really for me, what I was struggling with, I guess, is letting go of the masculine hard work equals success, the hustle culture, being in a male dominated industry and being in an industry where it seemingly is never enough. That was the culture that I was bred in, and so I had a really hard time surrendering and letting go, still in what felt like a somewhat of a hamster wheel. I was letting go of that as I moved into this container, but I didn't realize how much I hadn't been able to move through and really fully embody my feminine until coming here and joining Synarchy.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting you speak of that feeling or nagging that there's something more, because most people when they join our community, it's that same experience where it's like they know there's something more, but they can't even identify what that more is. And it's very a soul-led process. So I love that you found us in the same way. What are some of the tangible changes that you've made in your life beyond success since stepping into our vortex?
Yeah. So for me, I really was called to embody more of my feminine essence and the surrender, the flow, and the alignment. And I was called into this void, as you know, where my higher self led me to literally taking a period of time off that ended up being about 6 months. I didn't know that entering into that that void that was going to be the case, but for me the tangible of that was I always knew that my goal was to become the type of person who could do less while receiving more, but I didn't realize how much I actually needed to embody that. And so by taking this time off and realizing that I was still fully supported, still, fully able to meet all of my obligations, receive income, receive money, attract this abundance while taking this time off. That was honestly the biggest shift for me. It was like I kind of stepped into this whole new identity of a person who really understands that on a cellular level, that I can actually do less and receive more. That was a really big realization for me, especially coming from that toxic hustle culture. And I also think too, a couple other, tangibles really are being more confident, because I think that the closer that you step into alignment with your soul's path, the more authentic that you can be. I've always had this fear of fully being seen and fully being able to be authentic based on, the different ways that I was raised and societal programs and all of those things. And this being in this container has really allowed for me to step more in alignment with who it is that I'm actually being called to be. And the authenticity that lies within that is priceless, in my opinion, and to me, it's being confident in who it is that I actually am and being able to voice my truth and speak. And that's really what has unlocked everything for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. And kind of piggybacking off of what you just shared, what would you say is the biggest difference between who you were when you first joined the community versus who Rebekah is today?
Hmm. It's funny because I feel like I've been here for years. It's like time speeds up and slows down, and like it's different, right? Because it literally is a vortex. And so I think some of these things are happening on such a deep level that you almost forget. Like I have to actually remind myself of who it was, who it is that I was before I stepped into this. It's kind of funny. But before I stepped into working with you guys and being a part of Stanarchy, the biggest difference I would say is that I really genuinely was so fearful to slow down before this. I was fearful that if I didn't continue to always be working and doing things, right? And I'm also a generator, so I have the energy to do things all of the time. And so I didn't really necessarily understand how to listen to the guidance of my higher self, of my intuition that was telling me when to slow down, and sometimes we do have to slow down in order to speed up, right? So I very much so was attached to the amount of work that I did. That is what allowed for me to be worthy enough to receive the things, right? I was very much attached to the time that I put into things, that again, that created some level of work. So if I were putting all of my time and effort into something, that is what equaled my worthiness of being able to receive versus truly who I am at an energetic level, and just being able to show up knowing that I'm fully actually worthy and that I don't need to trade those things in order to become worthy. So those were some of the biggest things. And I also think too, the level of confidence that I had before I came into this, I have been working on myself for quite a long period of time. And again, a lot of that was around the mind. And I didn't necessarily realize that you cannot really mindset your way out of everything. There are truly energetic components, there are body-based components, there are things that, you really have to tap into in order to be able to show up fully expressed and authentic and confident in yourself. And so I think that those are the biggest things, my level of confidence in who I actually am and my calling, and that it's possible for me just by being who I am to receive anything I desire, has grown probably 100-fold from the time that I joined.
Can you share with us what your business looks like now since joining our community and what you believe is now possible for you?
Yeah. So it's really kind of cool because I feel like quite literally a different person from when I joined. now I really get to be in total alignment with my intuition, and I allow for the things that are trying to come through to come through. And the downloads and the things that I've received in this place and in this space are, I mean, it's kind of like out of this world, literally, like pun intended, it's out of this world, because it comes through me now in a way that I'm not forcing things like I used to. I'm not trying to figure things out. I'm surrendering to what is trying to come through. So in my business now, it really does look like me getting to be almost like an expression of who it is that I am in my business. And I show up in a way that I know 100% that this is, information that is intended to come through me. And so the right people are going to find me. I don't make it mean anything, right? I don't make my launches. I don't make how many people buy. I don't make whether I sign a client or not mean anything about me. I know that I'm fully supported. I know that the people who are intended to be in my programs, who are intended to go through my courses and become clients of mine, they will. There's this level of detachment that I've never really been able to experience before. And so I work just a couple hours a day on the things that I want to do in my business. And I spend more time working on the energetics and healing and taking time off. I only work a couple days a week now, and really on those days, a couple hours a day. So it really is allowing me to show up in that way where I can still make a massive impact while taking care of myself first.
I love that you spoke on this, because I feel like one of the best gifts that you could possibly give yourself is really detachment, and detaching from the meanings that we put on things, and embodying this level of just trust in yourself and the universe. And I think if that's the biggest takeaway from joining this vortex, then that's something that you can take with you everywhere you go. So I love that you spoke to that. What would you say is the most euphoric part about joining our community?
It really is different than anything I've ever been a part of. And I remember talking with you before I joined even. And I was very nervous. And, this is a big step, right? For a lot of people, is to invest at this level, to be surrounded by this caliber of people. And I remember you telling me it's hard to explain in words, but Makosi delivers on the things that she says she is. And for me, being in that energy and in that space of truly being in like this vortex, it really does feel like time stands still. It's hard to explain, but it feels like the amount of growth that has happened. And I've only been here 6 or 7 months, I think, at this point. I've lost track of time, but it does feel like the layers and the levels that are like these layers of my borrowed programming and the things that are not truly my authentic self have shed at a rate that is unparalleled to anything that I've experienced in the past. As much work as I've done on myself, as much as I've invested in myself financially and from a time perspective, it's like it's hard to explain other than this is a vortex. This truly is a vortex where you come in, and there is a energetic component to it where there really is a standard that happens and it takes place when you're here. And I think that that's been the most shocking thing for me, is just how much has faded away that no longer serves me in such a rapid period of time. It just feels like it's been years, and I know that it's only been months.
I love that. So my last question for you is, what would you tell someone who is thinking about stepping into our vortex and joining our community?
I would say that if your higher self led you to this, your higher self will bring you through it. I have no doubt in my mind about that. definitely make sure that, yeah, if this you're ready, right, for the transformation, because I don't think this kind of work at any level, like this self-introspection, all the things that we're doing to shed these layers is easy work, but I do think that it is necessary for the evolution that your soul came here to experience. So if you're being called to step into this, lean into that. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be scary. You know, all of the things that your ego is trying to tell you that you know, about not doing whatever your higher self is leading you to, is just trying to keep you in your comfort zone and to keep you, you know, stuck, right? But really, if your higher self led you here, I believe that there is something massive for you, and your higher self will thank you for it for sure. The ego will come up though, and will try to convince you of all the reasons. I know that happened for me, of all of the reasons that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. But the truth is that is just trying to keep you small, and your higher self knows the way. And really, again, if it brings you to it, it'll bring you through it. And I would say definitely lean into it, especially if you're feeling uncomfortable.
I love that. We could just do a mic drop right there. That was the best. Well, Rebekah, I want to thank you so much for your time, for being with us today and sharing your story and journey since coming into our community. And I'm so excited to have you with us and to see what unfolds next for you.
Awesome. Me too. Thank you so much, Kaylin.
Thank you.